Yes, I believe we're live now. Fantastic. Oh, I'm hesitant then. I was like, oh, it's going. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on. Amy from the Wakelet team here. Fantastic to see you all. You've joined us for the Community Showcase webinar, one of my absolute favorites because it means we get to speak to some of our incredible ambassadors and find out how they're using Wakelet. So get involved in the chat, share your ideas. It's a great opportunity to connect with everyone in the community. I'm seeing some wonderfully familiar faces here already in the chat. It's so great to see you. Sorry, they're having a virtual day. Love that. And Diana's joined us as well. Helena, hello. Shane there as well. So many familiar faces. It's so great to see you all. But yeah, we're just going to get started in just a moment. Just a little reminder, this session, you're on live at the moment, but if you ever want to go back and watch it afterwards, you want to check out any of the resources that were shared, it will be available straight after on our YouTube channel, so you can watch it back if you'd like to. We'll also send you all the resources. So towards the end of the session, I'll share a little link that will have all of the resources that the guys share, along with a certificate of attendance as well. So keep an eye out for that link. We'll send it. We'll pop it in the chat just towards the end of the session. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, without further ado, I'd love to be joined by our fantastic guests. So Tim and Alex, we'll bring you on now just to say hello to everyone, and then we'll get started. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Just say a little hello if you can, and just give a bit of an introduction to who you are.
You might go ahead and go first, Alex. All right. So, hey, I'm Tim Gallus, and I'm going to go over a little bit once I start my presentation, but I'm a technology integration specialist, and I am in Casper, Wyoming, and been a Wakelet ambassador for the last couple of years. Love Wakelet. So I'm super happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tim.
I'm Alex Isaacs. I'm a grade 8 math teacher in Red Bank, New Jersey at Red Bank Middle School. I joined Wakelet end of last summer. I became an ambassador in about October, and ever since I've been riding the Wakelet wave to the fullest and just enjoying finding new uses for the platform.
Yeah, you two are awesome, and we're so happy to have you on. A lot of love for you already in the chat, so I know it's going to be a fantastic session, and I can't wait to see what you're both going to share. But like I said, in the chat, keep all of your ideas coming. Give love for any ideas that you love, and if you do have any questions, we'll be in the chat as well. So any questions, send them our way, and share your own ideas as well. Use the opportunity to share any similar ideas or get a bit of inspiration. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to you, Tim, to kick us off. Have fun.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to, if you want to share my screen, there we go. All right. So I am, like I said, Tim Gallus, and I am here as an ambassador. I just want to show you. So I thought, hey, let's do this a little different style instead of presentation. We're going to use Wakelet as a little bit of a presentation. So I'm going to go over a little bit about how I use this in a few different ways inside of my school and professionally. And like Alex said, there's so many different ways to use Wakelet. And I love that we share out all these ideas and that we find new ways as we go. And by all means, I understand some of the things I might share with you. They also need some refining along the way. And if you have super awesome ideas that I could use to make these even better, feel free to pop those over in the chat, because I would love to hear even more. So a little bit about myself. Here is my lovely family. It is actually my wife's birthday today. So happy birthday, Mrs. Gallus. But I do have 4 kids, and those are my 2 dogs right there. They're my pups, who I love very, very much. Like I said, I'm a technology integration specialist. And I work at St. Anthony Tri-Parish Catholic School, which is located in Casper, Wyoming. I am a Wakelet ambassador, but I also do, you'll probably find out as we go through some of my presentation here, that I lean a little more towards the Microsoft end of things. If you're ever curious and you see a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you does go with Microsoft, because I am part of the community of the MIE experts. I'm also the MIE fellow for our cohort region, which includes Wyoming and Idaho and Nevada and Montana. So I do work with some of those people in this area that are MIE experts. And I also do a little NCCE on the side, if you're aware of what that is as well. So here's a little place. This is where Casper, Wyoming is located. The last few days, it has not been above zero. It's been like minus 26 or 30 with the wind chill. So today's like a little bit of a heat wave because I think we're going to see some positive numbers. Like my computer's telling me right now it's 11 degrees outside, which is a bonus. And we haven't seen that for several days. So hopefully it continues on the upward trend as we get a little closer to spring. So first things first that I'm going to go over is my teacher professional use, not necessarily in the classroom, but how I use this. And I did mention that I am a technology integration specialist. And I think a lot of people use that term, and maybe not everybody has the same description of what a technology integration specialist is. And so what I try to do in my role is at least I use Wakelet to help me not only justify, because I work in a position in a private Catholic school where, you know, a lot of our stuff is based off of enrollment. So I do kind of have to say, hey, you know, this is what I do. This is what I'm doing. You can kind of see that I am actually participating in my job. So as I scroll down here a little bit, I just want to just mention that as a tech integration specialist, I used to create a document at the end of the year that kind of covered some of the stuff that I went over in all of my different classrooms. And then I thought, you know what, this is not the most effective way for me to share what I'm doing. And so from week to week, I've got a little space here that I'm going to just show you. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, but I do a weekly wrap up of my activities that I'm doing inside of my classes. And so you can kind of see, and I'm using Spaces. If you haven't used Wakelet Spaces yet, it's a great way for you to organize your materials that you have in here. So from week to week, I just happen to have some different things in here where I go and I cover, because I work with classrooms from anywhere from kindergarten through 8th grade. And so what I do is I just kind of go through and I share this with my principal every week. And I say, hey, this is what I'm working on in these classrooms. And I include pictures. That's the one thing that I love about this whole thing, is that I can have some pictures, and I will go ahead. I'm going to go back here to my presentation. I'm going to go back and I'm going to just show you a week of what that looks like. This was from a few months ago, but I just want to show you that I've got some pictures and other things involved inside of here that really kind of covers the gamut of what exactly has been happening in my role. Because I really want my teachers to embrace technology and figure out exciting and new ways to use it inside of the classroom. So as I kind of scroll down through here, a lot of it, I just use a text box that kind of shares what the activities we were doing inside of these things. And so this particular one with kindergarten, we're talking about some Flipgrid videos. So you can kind of see, I love that Flipgrid and Wakelet are friends. That's just my favorite, because Flipgrid is just an awesome tool as well. So the fact that it's so easy to stick a Flipgrid inside of a Wakelet is just awesome. And this is a great way to share their work. And if I can highlight and show what some of these kids are reflecting on inside of their Flipgrids, that's great. These kids were working on pumpkins at this point, and they were doing a little research on pumpkins. So they were supposed to share and show with me what they know about pumpkins. And they were doing a little app smashing as well. I think they were using a little app right here that was called Draw and Tell. So they're using iPads. And as I go through here, you can kind of see that the first graders were doing a kind of a similar activity as well. But basically, I just kind of go through and I tell all of the things that are happening inside of these different classes. And it's just really helped me figure out a nice way for me to, like I said before, like I don't have to go through and share like a document at the end of the year, because really when you think week to week of all the things that you do, that's just really going to be crazy to capture that in like a document. So the fact that I can just put these week to week and have all of these activities lined out and said, hey, this is, if you want to know what I'm doing, go check this Wakelet out, and you can interact with it, and you can go watch these videos or check out these pictures. Love that I can stick my Twitter feed inside of there too and show some of those things that I'm tweeting out about some of the stuff that we're doing. But basically, it's just kind of an overview of some of the stuff that we're doing. And the other thing that I wanted to share before I move on to my school use part is the fact that talking about tech integration and thinking about some of those things. So I shared in here, there's a Wakelet model that I have that's talking about some of the integration ways. So if you guys have heard of SAMR and TPAC and pick rad and all those fun things. This is just a way for me to kind of show, and I shared this with the teachers in the building to say, okay, so if you're thinking about your technology use and also figure out, hey, what do these mean, or what are these terms all about? It's just kind of an example. So I tried to share a little bit about what's happening with all of these different models, and then maybe a little bit of a picture for them to also realize what this is. And then also just kind of gave a few articles. I just love that you can put all of these different artifacts into your Wakelets and show all of these different things. And it's just a nice way to keep your stuff organized. And then also the people that you're trying to share this with just have it right there in that one nice, neat little package. I would be remiss to mention that, I mean, we all don't want to keep thinking about COVID-19 and all those times. And some of you guys out there might still be experiencing this to some degree where you're not in person, or maybe you're still doing some remote sessions and other things like this. This was a lifesaver when it came to that initial shutdown. This particular one right here, this little space is, I just started gathering resources, and I actually made videos too. Like, I love that Flipgrid lets you do that little shorts video inside of Wakelet. So I made a lot of tutorial videos for people to put inside of these little spaces where I was talking about some remote resources, because we primarily use a lot of Flipgrid and Teams when we were doing our first little COVID-19 shutdown. So it was a good way for me to share all those materials, and then teachers could go look at that on their own, especially since we couldn't be together at that time. I also love, I mean, this is where I share tools with my people. If I talk about accessibility, because I think that's a really big area that sometimes gets glossed over, or maybe we don't always effectively use the most. So in here, I just try to kind of like make sure I'm collecting some items that people might want to know about as far as some of the accessibility tools that they have when it comes to their computer. So I made some little tutorial videos about, immersive reader in Edge, in Word, and just kind of going through here, trying to figure out some of those things. So it's a way for me to share, because I'm that person who has to kind of convey what some of the tools are for my people, that I need to also probably show them and give them a good example of how that works. So Wakelet provides me a great opportunity to keep everything in one spot for them to also look at that as well. Inside of the classroom, when we're talking about student use, this is where I also use it as well. And one of the things that I do is, for some of the younger students, what I love the most is the fact that I can have this if I have centers going on, or if I'm having them do different activities at different stations. This is a great way for them to look at that. And I did mention Immersive Reader a couple minutes ago, and you probably know, if you know what Immersive Reader is, great. This is a tool that you must have and that you need to know about. And the great part about Wakelet is, even though it doesn't fall exactly into that Microsoft banner or whatever, that it's one of those companies that have worked and they know and realize the importance of this tool and what it means for those struggling readers, and even those who just need a little bit of auditory help when it comes to listening and trying to figure out what they're supposed to do. I think this is a great way for you to share those directions, because that's one of the first things I teach, is to say, hey, this is where that little symbol is, and you click on it and you listen to the words that are in here, and then they can go listen to that and figure out what's happening inside of that particular station. So computer station, this particular one was just kind of talking about some of the parts, because we were doing a little computer science, where we were discovering what all makes up a computer. The other thing that I really like is how easy it is to share a Wakelet with a QR code with kids. I mean, just coming up here with that, and then just coming over here and making a QR code for them. And a lot of my little guys know how easy it is to click on that, or just to go to their camera on their iPads and go scan it, and it takes them right to where they would like to go. Okay. And I see you guys in the chat. I will make sure I share that with you in a few minutes. All right. I did mention Immersive Reader. Not going to cover this too much more in depth, because this is where you're going to see some of those things. But Immersive Reader is just one of those tools where it really breaks down, especially if you need to also translate the language to something else, break down by syllables, focus on lines of text at a time. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I just can't get enough of this tool, and I think it's great. The other piece where I use Wakelet in every day is, this is something that I inherited this year, and I'm not totally proficient at is that I teach middle school computer science. And the unfortunate part about that is I only have them a couple days a week for 40 minutes. So it's fast and furious, and it's really hard to get all that. But I feel like that I've got so many different kids from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that are at different levels when it comes to computer science. And a lot of them, here's the thing, they sign up for this class, and the other piece to those other 3 days of the week is art. And so one of those things that they come in here is maybe they really wanted the art piece because that's what they really enjoy, and the computer science just happens to go along with it. So I kind of figured, and how I split this up is I went, okay, well, so I get it. Everybody doesn't probably necessarily want to learn how to code or program. You need a little baseline, and you need to figure this out. So I kind of split mine into 3, where some people are learning about the hardware and the software. Some people are learning about how to actually code and program inside of this. And then I also, because we're a Microsoft Showcase school, is that I want those kids to be really proficient when it comes to those tools that they're using, like Word and PowerPoint. And I want them to also know and be able to share that, because I can't be in so many places at once when somebody has a problem, that these kids can go out and go, oh, you got a problem with that? I know how to do that inside of Word or PowerPoint. So I try to break this up inside of Wakelet as modules that I share with them. I'll show you what that looks like right here. This one happens to be in the column layout because I love just the fact that I can kind of share and piece these out. It's a little hard for them, I think, when they're looking at it in this particular way. But for me, this just kind of showed in all of the ways that I've got this. So I've got it split up into those different areas. And once this loads up, you'll kind of see what I mean here. But I've got my hardware, and inside of those are other Wakelets that take them to this. So some of the things, like I happen to run assemblies at our school. So these are kind of like my setup crew. So they help me set up speakers and microphones and other things like that. So they learn a little bit of the background on how those particular things work. And then I call them courses or modules, but like in here, this is just all about the internet. I try to piecemeal some different resources together. Like this particular one is Inspired Impact. Yeah, code.org. That's where all of these videos are from, because I'm not 100% proficient in this particular area necessarily, and I'm still learning myself as far as how to teach that effectively. There's so many great resources out there, and this is where Wakelet allows me to share those with them. But code.org, a lot of the videos that are inside of there are great. How I usually have this set up is there's maybe a video or something or article that they have to read, and then there's a task behind there that they have to follow through with. And that comes in effectively with this Microsoft Student Ambassador, or what I was talking about. So I'll just show you right here. So I'm going to take you to this PowerPoint. One of the things that I do for this, and one of the resources that I think is fantastic, if you don't know who Mike Folson is, he's awesome, and he's a product developer for Microsoft, but man, the guy's super knowledgeable, and he shares content all the time. So instead of me necessarily going and making a video about this kind of stuff, I integrate a Flipgrid inside of here. So when they get done with one of these things, they have to go show me that they can complete that particular task. So in this one, they're talking about live captions and translate. So what I do in a lot of these is I go to YouTube, and I find his YouTube videos. Obviously, that is really hard sometimes because YouTube might be blocked inside of your school. And some of my videos end up being blocked for them inside of this Wakelet, but I've got some other ways that I can share with them too. Those of you who use TikTok, though, TikTok is just one of those things where I know it's kind of a divisive type of an app that we use, but I feel like Mike's content inside of TikTok is great, and getting videos from TikTok is actually pretty easy. So a lot of times what I do in these particular instances is I go get a TikTok video from him, I download it, and then I put it in my OneDrive, and then I just share it via Wakelet inside of here. So I think the real key to those kids especially is short videos, those real short videos that give you a real focused task in a minute or so. I think that's probably going to gain their attention a little bit more. And then I do want to emphasize too, and I moderate the Flipgrid videos when they're inside of there and they have to go show me that they completed the task, is that they just have to go on and go, you don't have to make a professional video for this. All I want to see is you go screen record inside of Flipgrid and you show me that you know how to go through and figure out, can you show me how to turn on these live captions and translate inside of PowerPoint? So if they watch this video, they go watch it, then they go to Flipgrid, they screen record and show what they did to complete that particular one. this is just an idea. This is just a picture right here necessarily, but this is kind of how things are differentiated or inside of here where I've split them up. There's different resources that we're talking about, binary and data. So that whole thing talks about that. Not everything is a Flipgrid video at the end of a task inside of here necessarily. A lot of it is like maybe they're working on a collaborative whiteboard where they're talking about what they learned, what else they want to know, and then other things that they can add to the conversation, but also just how do you take those and then turn it into something. And if they can come up with a suitable alternative, I'm perfectly okay with that as well. So if they can come up with a way to show me that they understand some of the stuff, they can do that as well. They just have to kind of run it by me at first. I did mention this Microsoft Student Ambassador, so I'm not going to cover this too much more, but you can kind of see I've got my different outlets, and some of them have part 2s and part 3s, but really they just kind of make their way through it. So if they get done, they should always have something else to work towards too. And myself, I'm still building these particular courses or modules for them to work on when they're inside of there. You can just kind of see this is a Word one. I called it the Fast and the Furious because all those videos are 1-minute videos and they're super easy to share and watch, and then also complete the task to show. The last thing that I would like to share with you and how I use Wakelet is I'm talking about just personally or personal kind of thing. As I think it's a great way to share your resources when you're doing a presentation. So obviously like on this one, you may have access to this particular Wakelet that I'm sharing right here today, where you can kind of go through and see some of my stuff that I've got here. But like I did a presentation at FETC last month, and one of the slides that I had at the very end was just a QR code to go check out my Wakelet, and people can go look at these things. So I think it's just a great way for you to compile things, keep your artifacts and all of those things where you're curating your own little piece of the puzzle, and it's just easy to share that with everybody as well. And, personally, hey, guess what? You're collecting recipes and birthday lists and whatever else. It's just an awesome tool all around. That's just a small fraction of what I use it for, but basically that's how I use Wakelet. And yes, I do see somebody said Kevin Strapper. He's a great resource too as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for Mike as well. Shout out to Mike. There's a lot of love for Mike there. But thank you so much, Tim. Honestly, that was so awesome to see all of the ideas that you were sharing there, particularly with the sort of weekly wrap-ups. I mean, you're teaching so many different grades and students of different topics as well. It's a really nice way to be able to track that. I think Jennifer was saying, especially keeping track of all of those different subjects and grades and things. It's a really cool way to be able to document that. We kind of speak about it with being like a lesson portfolio for students, but seeing it from the teacher side, and you kind of evidencing
great place to house all of your stuff. I mean,
documenting it with your notes and things. That was really cool to see. I think Zara described it a little bit like journaling, which is quite cool as well. I really like that one. And there was a lot of love for that one, and the Flipgrid videos as well. I absolutely love seeing them for both sides as well. Again, using them for kind of like instructional videos, particularly for you teaching tools. It's a really handy one to sort of refer back to. But what I loved that you do is also get your students to provide feedback via them as well. And also when you're, show me that you can do this kind of thing, and then show that you've understood.
Man. And I just like how they're just in there and that you can watch them straight inside of your Wakelet. It's just awesome. Yeah,
it's a really cool way to combine that all together. Some fantastic shares there. I know people are dying to see that collection that you shared as well. Certainly. We have put Tim's profile out there as well. But yes, I'm sure Tim will pop that over and we'll pop that in the chat. But thank you so much. We'll bring you back in just a moment. Awesome. But yeah, everyone was absolutely loving it in the chat. We're about to have a little look through as well in the meantime. But for now, I'm going to bring Alex on. Thanks, Tim. See you in a bit. Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing well, Amy. Great to be here. It's an absolute thrill, dream come true. And I'm just so excited to share how I'm using Wakelet in the classroom.
Yeah, I know you have so many awesome ideas to share, so it's so great to have you. But yeah, I'm gonna let you take the stage and have fun.
Thank you so much. So again, I can't thank everybody enough. Wakelet for giving me this opportunity. B, my school, Red Bank Middle School, for giving me the opportunity to step out. I should technically be teaching a math class right now, but luckily enough, my co-teacher is holding it down with all my great rockets over in Red Bank, New Jersey. So I've been in Red Bank for 2 years as a math teacher. I've only recently gotten onto riding the Wakelet wave within the last 6 months, but my goodness gracious, am I ecstatic that I found this platform as a result of a suggestion from the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction in my district, Luigi Lalgelli. He told me about Wakelet. I was a Padlet guy before this, and I'm not looking back since I've started riding the Wakelet wave. So my profile, as you could see, I'm certified in a variety of different platforms. Wakelet stands in the middle up top because being an ambassador is one of the most proud moments that I've had as a aspiring ed tech specialist. So it's just a real thrill for me to talk to you all about how I'm using this platform in my classroom and at my school and also in my personal life. So if you come to my profile, all of the different ones that you're going to see today will be available below in the organized different types of collections that I have. So everything will be available to you as soon as this is concluded. So I'm going to start with my first ever collection. And my first ever collection is something that I'm probably most passionate about as an educator. When the pandemic hit in March of 2019, I was teaching at a Catholic school at that time, and I was just trying to create engaging and accessible material for my students. And a friend of mine sent me an article about virtual Bitmoji classrooms, and I created my first one that very day. And then moving ahead, I just continued to try to build and really try to create more and more impressive spaces for my students. So I'm just going to briefly kind of show you, these are the classrooms that I've created for this year. I do it in Google Slides, but as you can see, I have my Wakelet PNG within each of these different classrooms. I created it because I wanted students to have access to either math resources in one spot, or I wanted them to be able to see my I'm done choice board options at any time. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'm often releasing these templates to the public, where if you feel like this would be a nice virtual space for you and your students to use, feel free, download a copy, personalize it, make it your own. But what Wakelet has allowed me to do is take all of these virtual classrooms and then kind of chronicle them in one collection. So this was my first ever collection. And the reason why this is such a big thrill for me is because I made the Wakelet hot list with this collection. And I was screenshotting it, and I was sending it to administrators, and I was sending it to my girlfriend, Lois Alston, who's also an amazing Wakelet ambassador, because I was just so thrilled that so many people were checking out what I feel are my top tips for creating virtual classrooms. So I have my description. I have a little collage here that you're allowed to obviously bring images right in. And then I have what I feel are my top tools for creating virtual classrooms. So I can guarantee anybody out there watching right now that if you come into this collection and this is an interest of yours, you will be able to elevate your space by using the tools in this. So for example, Moat, one of my favorites, Canva. Fun fact about me, I'm a Canva crazed person. Every single one of these GIFs that you see is created either in Canva or in Adobe. I got the dimensions of the 800 by 600 that Wakelet likes. So I'm always trying to get things that are visually appealing, not only to my colleagues, but also my students. So this was my first one ever. I was dropping any resource that I felt would be helpful to anybody giving this a try. And then, it's just so easy to drop in GIFs to be able to, say, thanks for stopping by if you join this collection. So this is my first one ever. I did revamp it more recently, but it's one that I'm just so proud of because it kind of got my foot in the door with the Wakelet community. So in addition to that, it's so much more than just for personal use. And this has to be my next Wakelet collection that I share because this included everyone in my district, all the way from my students to all the way up top to the superintendent of the district, Dr. Jared Rummage. We had teachers involved. We had principals, vice principals. We had everybody at my school involved in this project. And I was lucky enough to be invited to the Digital Citizenship Summit 2 Fridays ago, where we presented on being informed in the digital age of media. And you're going to see something that I venture to say no one has ever done on Wakelet. So get ready for this, because there's an amazing GIF that I'm about to show you. So what I did here is I used the column layout, which I've absolutely fallen in love with since it's been released. I started by naming the lesson and challenge in the leftmost column, where if people wanted to participate in other schools, they would be able to do so simply by clicking on that Nearpod lesson. And then they were also able to do this Flipgrid challenge. So I also, as you can see, as Tim mentioned previously, I love the ability to just drop tweets right in. Ashley Navalani, the social studies and social justice club teacher at my school, who was nice enough to perform in this video, she actually included a tweet of me actually teaching the digital citizenship assignment or lesson to the students at Red Bank Middle School. Now, the GIF that I'm obviously talking about, and I will zoom in because it's absolutely amazing, is at one portion in the video, I am just so ecstatic as my detective alter ego that you can see in this photo, that I am making it rain robot retro stickers on the students in class. It's one of the proudest moments of my life. It was one of the most fun moments of my life. And the fact that the kids were so enthused and love getting the stickers, by the way, any teachers out there, if you got the great stack of stickers that Wakelet's nice enough to share, I recommend using it as an incentive, because my kids love earning these stickers. So it was a wonderful video project where it's fully linked from my Google Drive. If you want to check that out at some point, it's on digital citizenship. But then in addition to the video and the personalized resources in here, I was also able to curate resources from a variety of different websites on digital citizenship. Now, I'd be very much remiss if I did not mention the amazing Adobe for EDU and Canva creations that so many of my students did for this project. So as you can see, we have some Adobe for EDU projects that get in seamlessly. We have some Canva creations of some written responses. And then, of course, we've got our Flipgrid responses of students who are willing to take that risk and really show and make their voice be heard about why it's important to be informed as a digital citizen. So this was probably the Wakelet collection that I'm most proud of, just because it involved everyone. And it was nice to really bring a whole school together and be able to show what we're doing at Red Bank Middle School as a district. So this was a wonderful experience for me. And I've had so many kids go, hey, can I see that Wakelet collection? And then I'm obviously pushing that out to everybody in the community. So another school-wide type collection that I created was myself and the 8th grade team at Red Bank Middle School. We were discussing ideas for National Hispanic Heritage Month. And for me, I said, well, what better way to do that than with a Wakelet collection? And I really said to myself, I think the mood board would be an excellent layout tool for this type of collection. So for those of you who don't know, National Hispanic Heritage Month takes place from September 15th to October 15th. And it's really about highlighting my students' heritage, their traditions, their things that they're most common in their families. So what I decided to do was I had the students at Red Bank Middle School in 8th grade either create something about their culture in the form of a reenacted drawing of a famous Hispanic artist, creating a 3D sugar skull on Tinkercad, creating a presentation of some type on a famous mathematician. And they also had the ability to cook or write their favorite recipe, because, you know, I really do believe that food from the heart is part of people's culture. So this was a real thrill for me as well. I got the opportunity to present the platform to my school, and I was just so pleased. I got to give a shout out to Mrs. Kansky and Miss Smith. They were nice enough to contribute as well to this collection with some book creator app uploads and some, I believe, Venngage infographics. Now, in addition to that, my math team, as a result of kind of being in and out of virtual instruction, I wanted to kind of feel more unified with my team this year. So myself and the math team, 6th, 7th, and 8th, along with Dr. Cudahy, she's the math coach in the district, we decided to come up with a math newsletter. So we call it Math Musings, and we have 2 editions right now, one that's been released and one that's going to be coming soon. I'll briefly go through this with you, where we have the ability to not only express the amazing things going on in our classrooms, but we also have the ability to embed resources right in for our parents in the community, where if they are looking to do some math activities with their children, we have that built right into them. As you can see, I was easily able to just bring my tweet in and embed it, talking about the National Hispanic Heritage Month collection. And then I was just posting other types of templates and different types of things that I felt were pertinent to the families of Red Bank, New Jersey. But of course, we also have all of the amazing pictures, resources that were thrown in by 6th and 7th grade. My co-teacher, Miss Sherman, brought in one of her Slides Mania review game boards. So really great platform for bringing a group together. It's not just about curating resources, obviously. It's about finding ways to then meet together and say, we really want to promote the amazing things going on at our school. Let's do that with a Wakelet collection. So we've been thrilled with the type of response to these newsletters. And I'll give you a little sneak peek at the winter edition. Pi Day is coming up on March 14th. So in addition to our usual student highlighting, we also have a Pi Day collection that if there are any math teachers out there, this will be fully loaded with resources. As of right now, it's got 3. It has a GIM kit that I think is very fun for the actual day. So that's going to be available, and I can't wait to have that fully loaded for Pi Day and have Wakelet be a part of that as well. Now, if I'm not going school-wide and I'm specifically simply talking about my Math 8 classroom, the first collection that I made for the math class was my I'm Done collection. Now, this is another example of my Twitter friends, the PLN. So many people were supportive of this collection. Now, for any math teachers, again, out there, this is able to be copied and tailored to fit your needs. So if this was something that appeals to you, change the cover image, change whatever activities you don't enjoy as much, and you're ready to go. So for me, I chose the mood board again. We have examples where I created Google Docs that, as you can see, are just uploaded directly in. Students have the opportunity to go to code.org or IXL for practice. I'm going to really try to emphasize this as much as I can. Any math teachers out there, if you are not up on the Numble and Oodle, please take a look at this collection because it's an excellent tool to help students up to 8th grade, even higher than that, really develop some great number sense and with fact practice. So we have creating their own Kahoot, checking out my math word wall, playing Prodigy. As Tim said, I'm on the TikTok bandwagon. They have the opportunity to create a TikTok, free rice, helping a classmate. As you can see, it just looks so clean. It looks so aesthetically pleasing. It's ready to go for any student who finishes early in my math class. So in addition to that, this is a new venture for me. This is my most recent Wakelet collection that I created for math. Is I said, I have to make a column collection that includes all the resources that I love pushing out to my kids at Red Bank Middle School. So we have a unit coming up on linear systems of equations. And what I did was I created what I feel are really pertinent columns to my students, where all the way to the left, you have these note slides that relate to linear systems. I have a picture and a definition for each of the important vocab terms within the second column. And then again, all of these different GIF videos that you see in the third column, Canva, me creating these to try to make it visually appealing. Now, I will say, if there are any 8th grade math teachers out there specifically, or anyone teaching linear systems, I would point you to this. Everything is able to be shared, made a copy of, so it's free for you to use if you like. And then in the practice section, as we actually get into the tasks and different games that I like to utilize in my classroom, these will be filled under each of the different headings of these platforms with different tasks for my students to complete. Last but not least, in my other resources, I like putting the Desmos graphing tool, especially for a chapter where we're going to be graphing equations. And then you can also see that I like to include GIFs within that section because I feel like that's a great visual for my students. Now, I'm nearing the end here. The other thing that I'm really passionate about is recognizing student achievement. I feel like the pandemic has made it so challenging to stay motivated at certain times. So for me, when I was still working at that Catholic school, I decided it's time for me to make engaging material that's going to make kids forget a little bit what's going on around them right now. So I decided, I had a stuffed animal bear and I had a detective's hat, and I said, you know what, I'm going to create this plot of a detective with a bear, and I'm a STEM teacher and something is stolen. And I just had this big plot, and it was so exciting to me to create that video and get amazing feedback. So what I decided to do at the middle of last year where I felt like we really needed a boost was I decided to start doing Mr. Isaac's 3 stars of the week. So I made about 9 videos highlighting student achievement at Red Bank Middle School, not just for math performance, but also just being a good citizen, being kind to classmates, showing empathy. So what I was able to do with this Wakelet was I was able to bring in each and every one of my videos into one nice, neat space. I picked the screen caps out. If any of you are looking at this right now, I'm not completely crazy. Okay, don't worry. I do have multiple different personalities and characters, but this is all just for the fun of the kids and the community. That is all it's for. It is to have kids enjoy. It is to help inspire my colleagues if they're feeling a little bit on the low side of energy, and it's to give people laughs. So again, I absolutely love the opportunity to present my content in one place, one-stop shop. That's what Wakelet has always been for me. Now, the last thing that I do want to highlight is what Tim also highlighted, the idea of spaces. So I'm also a member of the Wakelet Ambassador Group, but one that was just such a thrill for me was creating my first shared space with my girlfriend, Lois Alston. So we are Lolex EdTechs, trademark. Nobody try to take that out there. I'm just kidding. It's a complete joke. However, we've completed 2 collections so far, and we've absolutely loved the collaborative process. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is our Adobe for EDU creative profile. I don't know if everybody's up on the monthly challenges, but it's an awesome way to show your creativity and to get involved with a program that not only you can do, but also your students. So each month, Adobe for EDU has a template that they release for adults and students, and then people are able to share out what they create on Twitter. And it's been such a thrill because what my girlfriend and I, Lois, do is we have our side-by-side with each of the different challenges. And of course, she's done better than me with some of these, but some I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage. But we have a fun little competition with each other each month going, all right, we're going to tweet this out at the same time and see who's really liking our design. So it's just been a real pleasure to create, make something bright and aesthetically pleasing. And if Adobe is something that you haven't been thinking about, please check out this collection. And I think there'll be no going back for you. And then the last thing that I'm going to share in the whole personal usage as well, I was lucky enough to be invited along with Lois to host the Juice Chat this Saturday. So what the Juice Chat is a PLN. It's a virtual PLN, professional learning network, where we share ideas, we ask questions, and hopefully we all build off of one another. So what we created here, and again, as you could see, the unsplash images that you can add into the background, it's absolutely gorgeous looking. I love the fact that Lois and I were able to select that background and make it look so nice along with that GIF. As you can see, what our top tool is to sharing information with others, it couldn't be anything but Wakelet. So Wakelet's going to be number 1 for us. Lois created an amazing collection that relates to ways to Wakelet, and I would recommend that anybody who hears my voice right now, check out that collection. This will be released on Saturday. So you'll be able to check out this on Saturday. But right now, that Ways to Wakelet is available on Lois's platform, and it's absolutely stellar. We both love our ability to enhance feedback with Moat, so that's on there. Obviously, I'm a Canva crazed person, so that's another tool. And then we get into Seesaw, Flipgrid, Screencastify, all of the different tools that we're using. Lois as an ed tech specialist and myself as a math teacher and an ed tech enthusiast, that we are using each of these. And our plan, because we don't see this very often in PLNs, we're going to be pushing this out to everybody who joins, so that not only are they engaging in the discussion at the time, but then they're also walking away with a resource that they can then go back to and hopefully inspiring them to see all that Wakelet has to offer. So as you can clearly see, Wakelet is something that I am using in my personal life. Oh, I have to give one last shout out. I got to give a shout out to my girlfriend's daughter, Anya, because she's now riding the Wakelet wave. And I believe Tim mentioned her first collection was a birthday wish list. So that's how she's using it. And I think it was an amazing thing. And I said I had to give her a shout out, and she'll probably be mad at me now, but I did it anyway. So as you can see, this has the opportunity to be used in your personal life, your educational life. You don't have to be an educator to use it. It has every possible use. It's an amazing platform. And all I can say is I'm thrilled to be a person that Wakelet has had enough trust in that they give me the opportunity to speak on how much I love the platform. So it's been an absolute pleasure to share with you what I'm doing with Wakelet. And I only hope that I inspired some of you out there to take a look through my collections so that you can hopefully take something away from today.
Thank you so much, Alex. And you certainly have done. There have been so many responses in the chat, so many good ideas shared from the ideas that you're sharing, but also just people picking up on all of those incredible ideas that you shared. Everyone's absolutely loved them. And I can only imagine how fun your classroom is. It looks absolutely awesome. And I love that you were saying about Lois's daughter there picking up things as well, because Wakelet is so versatile. You can use it in so many different ways. It's a family affair. Everyone can get involved in some way or another. We use it in the office for birthday cards and things like that as well. So there's so many ways in education, outside as well. Personally, you can use it. But yeah, just a couple of things that you spoke about I wanted to pick up on. I love your Canva creations. They make all of your collections so fun and so engaging as well. I know there was a lot of love for the graphics and things that you've put together and the gifts and things. So I think people are going to be after those. So anywhere we can share them, we will try to. Sure. But yeah, it just makes it so much more fun and engaging. And I also love the fact that you give your students a lot of the choice to sort of present and do in different ways as well. One of the things I love about Wakelet is because you can combine so many different tools, and there's not really much that you can't add down to a Wakelet / if anything. So, by then you giving your students the options to create a graphic, create a painting, a drawing, a piece of writing. I think that's so incredible, and giving them the option to do that. But then still for yourself, you can combine that all in one place. So I think that's so cool. Like I said, I bet your students have a lot done.
I like to think so. I care about them so much, and that's why I do all of this. It's for them, it's for my colleagues, and it's just to show my enthusiasm for the platform. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And the layouts are used as well. I always say with the layouts, and when we're kind of sharing Wakelet and telling people about the different layouts, there are certainly lots of different uses, and I love how you utilize them for lots of different ways, and look at that layout and think, okay, this is how I'm going to get the best out of it. I love your use of columns. Mood boards, a really fun one. But even the grid view at the end there, where you and Lois have got, those sort of comparative bits as well, friendly competition there. So yeah, I really love to see how, you're utilizing the different layouts and things like that, and sort of getting the most out of them. I mean, the columns one, I'm still really excited about seeing column layout examples, because it's still a little bit new, and we're just like so excited when we do see someone using it, and using it in such a cool way as well. Tim, I know you used it in a really cool way to organize your resources, which I love to see. And yeah, there was actually a question around spaces, because I know you were sharing the space that you have with Lois there. And let me just go back and find it. I think it was around Inspired Impact. Ask so you can't add it straight down into two spaces. What you can do with Wakelet is create a copy. So if you created a copy of that collection, you could have it in multiple spaces if you wanted to, and move it that way. So, but if you have any more questions about that, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, Alex, thank you so much. Honestly, have a little look through the comments as well if you didn't see it as they were coming through, because there was so much love for everything you were sharing. And I'm going to keep an eye out for that newsletter, because I'm really intrigued about this Pi Day. I'm intrigued about this one. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. But if you guys haven't done so already, follow Alex on Twitter as well, because you're wonderful at sharing all of your ideas, and making sure that everyone gets inspired as well. So we love you for that. So thank you so much. But for now, we'll bring Tim back on, see if there's any other questions as well. So any questions that you have, pop them in the comments, and we'll jump on those. So Inspired Impact, when we create a copy, if we make a change, we have to make a change to the copy. Yeah. So yes. So once you make a copy, it won't make a change to the original one. So that's a completely separate collection, if you like. So if you did want it to appear in different spaces, if you did make a change to the original, it wouldn't highlight that in the new one, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but yes.
I was going to mention too, like one of the things I do for my tech wrap up that I do, I've got a template one, and I just copy that one all the time, and then just add that back to the space. So, yeah.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, and you can just keep adding to that one. And like I said, it just means you can have it in multiple spaces, particularly if you're, you've got a space for each grade or students or anything like that, or even different colleagues, but you want to use the same kind of template for each. You can keep adding and changing those in. But I don't think there's too many more questions, just a lot of love, which is so great to see. Thank you all so much for joining. Hopefully you've loved all the ideas. I know I have, that were shared. We will put in the link to your certificate, so you can fill that out, get a certificate of attendance, and all of the resources that Tim and Alex shared will be shared out with you as well. And I'll also put a link into the community. If you haven't done so already, or if you're not already a part of it, we'd love for you to join the community. It's a fantastic place, especially when you're getting started with Wakelet, to get great ideas like this. Join these webinars, and you'll be able to get a little bit of inspiration and be a part of this incredible community. But any final words, guys? Any shout outs or anything like that you want to do before we jump off?
Hey, Alex, I noticed, I just wanted to mention this too, because I was wondering if you guys liked my brick wall, and I noticed one of your one words was comedian. So maybe, and I kind of feel like I should be standing like I'm in a bad comedy club or something right here, but like maybe you should have that as your background too, man.
Well, if you watch some of my videos, you'll see the humorous side. It came out a little bit here, but more than anything, anybody who's watching, just delve a little bit more into Wakelet. It'll pay back. It'll pay back 10 times over. My groups have loved it. I've absolutely loved it. It's my top tech tool platform as far as I'm concerned, and just bigger and better things moving ahead. Right, Amy?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, you guys always inspire us to think of even more ways, and even more features to get the cogs turning. But Tim, I do love the background, and I wish I could have some now as well.
I figured you didn't want to look at my green screen because it's not very exciting to look at. But
that's okay. But yeah, I mean, I kind of want a brick wall now.
yeah, right. I mean,
but
it's
we'll
just right in the
see.
middle of the wall.
Maybe for next time, we'll change it up a bit. But
I want to echo Alex's sentiments though about you guys, and the fact that you guys are very involved. So if you guys are out there and you're wondering how to do something or whatever, just reach out, because you guys are so involved, and you're just. I just love how interactive you are with the community, and that you guys are learning, but at the same time, you also share out at the same time. So, I mean, it's just a big community where we all can learn a lot of stuff from each other.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Tim. And honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing stage with you both even. Like I said, guys, all follow Tim, follow Alex. They are always sharing some fantastic ideas. But for now, thank you all so much for joining. And I'm sure we'll see you all very soon. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.